Hello, everyone. Welcome to Death by Disney. Today, we're going to be talking about a little film called Make Mine Music from 1946. And if you hear any thunder or lightning, I guess you can't hear lightning, but if you hear any rain or thunder, we're in the middle of a thunderstorm in the Death by Disney studios, but I think we'll be safe. We're not outside. And we're definitely not in the tallest building around here. So let's start off with plot a plot summary from the people at Disney themselves. So here it goes. In the tradition of Fantasia, Make Mine Music is a glorious collection of musically charged animated shorts featuring such fun-filled favorites as Peter and the Wolf, narrated by the beloved voice behind Winnie the Pooh. In addition, you'll enjoy such classic cartoon hits as Casey at the Bat, The Whale Who Wanted to Sing at the Met, and Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet. The whimsical adventure of two hats who fall in love in a department store window. Every member of your family will have a favorite in this musical medley of fun and fantasy from Disney. Is it a glorious collection? We shall see. So before I tell you my review, I will give you some trivia. Now, there's not a lot of trivia about this movie because this is kind of a forgotten movie. Around this time, during the Second World War, and probably up to the end of the 1950s, most of the films that Disney produced were these collection of animated shorts because they didn't have enough money to actually produce a film, and their animators had been busy during the war producing propaganda or, fighting in the war. So they took like about 5 years to recover from that, 5 or 6 years. And so they released a lot of these projects. The two previous projects that we talked about, Saludos Amigos and the three Caballeros, were kind of like propaganda films on their own. So they kind of had a priority. They were to kind of shore up relations in South America during a difficult time in the world. So Make Mine Music is the first kind of, maybe not the first, but it's one of these sort of anthology films. So anyway, back to the trivia. Animation historia Sean Whoa. Animation historian Sean Griffin believes that the images of sexy and sexualized female teens in All the Cats Join In, 1946, was indicative of changes in 1940s culture. The World War II years had seen the emergence of cheesecake posters and photos as an industry, and the release of popular animated shorts with sexy images and characters pioneered by Tex Avery. Walt Disney was being influenced by a popular trend. It would not last for long after the war, and that is from the Internet Movie uh, uh, database. So it's kind of understandable why they would have that trend because a lot of these animations were directed towards soldiers who, have certain interests for the most part, so they were just doing what was popular. And Disney also was on that trend. So, what did I think? Here is my review of Make Mine Music. Make Mine Music is a hodgepodge of animated vignettes created because Disney Studios at the time wanted to keep its film division alive, and they did not have enough animators due to the fact that during the Second World War, most of them were drafted, and those who weren't drafted were creating propaganda films for the United States government. So different projects were mashed together, and this was released in 1946 as one of the last of these mashups. Some of the segments have a great deal of charm. For example, Casey at the Bat and Peter and the Wolf, which I'm sure everyone has watched even though they haven't watched this film. Other parts are more problematic. For example, there's a whale that sings minstrel songs, and one segment seems to encourage domestic violence. So I would say that this is the weakest of the three Disney compilation films from this era. If you want to watch a good example of this kind of film, check out Saludos Amigos. But as I said previously, that review that I just read you of mine was written before I would watch some other compilation films. I think, unfortunately for us in this podcast, there's about 3 or 4 to go before we get back to a. Actually, no. There's another film to talk about, but I won't spoil that one, which is not a compilation film, but woo boy, that has a lot of things to talk about in it. So that's my review. Here is a negative review from the Internet Movie Database, and this is kind of my nemesis, I have discovered. Verbraca20. She is doing the same thing, or he is doing the same thing that I'm doing. He's watching all of the Disney films. So from July 2023, he says, or she says, continuing my Walt Disney Animation Studios marathon, this movie is hard to find. It's not on Disney Plus, so I found a playlist on YouTube. Hopefully it's complete. I never watched that movie. I will watch in Brazilian. The Padillas and Paella segment is weird but cool. The second segment, which is about the birds, is horrible. The pencil segment is cool except for the pursuit of the perfect body. The fourth segment is another horrible one. The baseball segment is bad, but it's cool to hear Flamingo versus Basco in a Disney movie. The segment of the two silhouettes is simply horrible. The Peter and the Wolf segment was hard to find. It's cool, but it's weird to see a kid with a gun. Very bad segment after you're gone. The hat segment is wonderful. The whale one is interesting. Maestro, no music, please. 1 out of 10 for that. I think that this person is just giving movies a bad review so people will read their reviews on podcasts like mine. Perhaps. That's all over the place. I would say if you like 50% of something and you hate 50% of something, it's probably 5 out of 10. That's what I just have to say. And it looks like this person was watching a Brazilian version. And I do have to say that they are completely... yeah, it's not on Disney Plus, so it's hard to find. And the version that I found the Peter and the Wolf section, but I found it done by Peter Bowie. Peter Bowie, Jesus, not Peter Bowie, David Bowie. Ugh. Sorry about the noise. Okay, and here's a positive review from Setam17230, July 2006. Musical, enjoyable, laughable, smileable. Lol. Get your dancing shoes on and have fun with this 1946 Disney cartoon classic. Make Mine Music. This movie contains 10 animated segments for the original version and 9 for the DVD version, due to the very first short being a little bit too violent. Like all of the other Disney classics, these shorts are exceptionally outstanding. One short in particular, The Whale Who Wanted to Sing at the Met. I'm mentioning this short the most because this was seen on the old Disney Channel before it got all ravened up. Lol, 9 years ago, from writing. Sure, it was long, but it made for a very interesting short. It may also not have Mickey and Minnie, but it's still worth watching. Make Mine Music is a good movie to watch if you're a little bit down and need to be all pepped up. Enjoy. Yeah. Like, your favorite segment was the one with the minstrel song? Okay, alright. Yeah. It's problematic, this film, but there... And I can understand why it's not on Disney Plus because of the... Like, one segment is, like, basically you have to beat your woman to get her to love you, and the other segment has this minstrel song. So, it's understandably not on Disney Plus, but you can find it on YouTube, and there is a very charming bit of Peter and the Wolf narrated by David Bowie that you can find, and that's great, right? Great animation. Good story, good moral, good performance all around. And I haven't had the opportunity to watch the original version, so there might be a slight difference with the narrator there. That is my review of Make Mine Music. Tune into the podcast next week where I believe we're going to be talking about the most controversial Disney movie of all time. Probably you can think about what it is. I'm not going to tell you, it'll be a secret, but please tune in to the podcast next week. Bye.